him. So you modify your hatchet man to have a whip in one hand and his hatchet in the other hand, and you've got a pretty deadly combination, especially with a decent pilot.
And that's how you stop a locust from running around. You get a heavier mech, you just what? And he's stuck there. And you can start wailing on him.
Oh dear. I just had that vision in my head.
It's so good. Hi, welcome to another Alpha Strike We Play video. Hi, Tarron.
Hey, buddy. How we doing?
Good. Now, I'm excited because we are going to talk about physical attack weapons.
Yes.
We've been doing it in the series, but these are now some of the obscure ones.
Full-on weapons. These are proper weapons. These are the weird and the wonderful.
So in this one, we're going to talk about the chain whip.
Yes.
Which is highly experimental.
It's worth mentioning we're going from TAC Ops, and we're on page 288-ish. Look up BattleMech melee weapons in your version of TAC Ops and you'll see where we're going from.
Yeah.
But we'll put you a little list up, and yeah, we're going to go with chain whips.
Yeah. So we're going to go to the year 3069 in the timeline. So
Solaris 7.
Yes.
No, well, yeah.
So the Lyran Alliance, which was the Lyran Commonwealth, and it's changed, and I don't know. So if you know about the story, that's great. If you don't, well, a bit of a spoiler of it, maybe. Sorry about that. So these guys developed like a whip that was designed essentially to try and restrict an opponent unit.
Yeah, so like a metal chain whip.
Yeah, to try and so they use Myomer bundles, which is like your muscles for a mech. So they pump power through them and they get rigid and things like that. It's quite clever. But it wasn't really strong. It doesn't do a lot of damage when it hits and things like that. It wasn't really that successful. And about a couple of years later, the word of Blake got hold of it. They probably stole it because that's what they do.
That's how they work.
So they modified it a bit and they reinforced it with some alloy chains and whatnot. And that's sort of where it's up to.
Yeah. It's worth noting that a lot of these melee weapons mainly show up on Solaris, like in gladiatorial combat type things. But some of the mechs are pretty cool. It might be worth putting in that how they do the construction, just in case you want to build your own Solaris mech. So your chain whip weighs 3 tons, occupies 2 critical spots, and can only be mounted in a mech's arm, and then only in an arm that includes a hand actuator.
Yeah.
So you have to have a hand in order to use the chain whip. It's not terribly heavy, and it doesn't take up much space compared to some of them.
Yeah.
So give it a crack.
But it does 3 points of damage
Yes.
when it hits. So you roll to hit using the standard table.
Yep.
Okay, so wherever you hit, you do 3 points of damage.
Yep.
Not very useful if you get like a torso or...
Well, head is...
Well, the head's a good hit because a hit's a hit. We'll take that.
That's it. That's it. We'll take that.
But its real strength lies if it hits a leg or an arm.
Yeah. So you're making your initial roll, your initial 2-hit roll with a -2.
Sweet.
Which is pretty cool, using your basic physical attack rules. And if, as you say, your location comes up on a leg or an arm, you get to make a bonus attack. Okay, so if you get a leg, your bonus attack is, again, at a -2. And triple strength Myomer is involved. So we'll go through that later, but if you have active triple strength or TSM and the target doesn't, you get a bonus. And if the attack is successful, this bonus attack, if the bonus attack is successful, it delivers no damage, but the defending unit must make a successful piloting skill roll at a +3 target modifier to avoid falling.
Yep.
So it's an entangle.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
You've gone and wrapped it around a couple of the legs and gone...
You've done the old Zorro trick, which is always cool to see.
Yes. Swack.
I mean, once you get a mech down on their back or whatever, that's good.
Yeah, and
That's very good.
a +3 to your piloting skill to avoid falling is pretty huge.
Yeah.
You don't want that. Falling damage can be extremely bad, and then once you're down on the ground, you have to make piloting skill checks to get back up. You can potentially fall again. And you're a bit easier to hit while you're on the ground. So if you have the whip and some of the backup weapon, look out.
Yeah.
Look out.
Even kicking when they're down. If
Yeah,
they
well,
stay down,
just kick them in the head.
the way to go.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
But it is possible to also, if you hit an arm, there's some different rules for that too, but there's some cool stuff.
So you get another bonus attack. So that's how this works, is you get the initial attack, and then if you hit the arm, you get a bonus attack. Again, you get the -2 if you've got TSM and the target doesn't. And for every weight class, so it goes proto-mech, light, medium, heavy, assault, blah, 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 blah. So for every class you outweigh the defender, you get a -1 to hit modifier. And for every class that they outweigh you, you get a +1. Okay, so weight class comes into it as well.
Yeah.
If this bonus attack is successful, the defender is grappled, and neither unit may move from their respective hexes in the following turn, unless the attacker chooses to release the defender.
Yeah, if they just spend MP of any kind, even if they're just changing facing,
then you count as releasing them.
Yep.
So don't do that. However, while grappled, both the grappling mech and the grappled mech may make weapon and physical attacks normally using weapons in any location except for the grappling unit's whip arm and the grappled unit's grappled arm.
Yeah.
So you've rolled your location and gotten an arm location, so you've rolled right arm, and your whip's in your right arm, so you've gone thwack, and you're holding him. You're holding him, so his right arm's immobile and your right arm's immobile. You're not going anywhere.
That's really handy if they're wielding a hatchet or something.
Yeah, or they've got the Act 20 in that arm.
Yeah, true.
So some sort of targeting computer that lets you target with physical attacks would be kind of cool. Yeah. But that's off topic. Let's get back to it. If the grappling unit is attacking the grappled unit, or vice versa, a -2 modifier applies to those attacks.
Yep.
Because you're very close and you're very
you have the advantage essentially. So it's really cool.
So each turn after making a successful grapple, the grapple roll, but not the initial 2-hit roll, must be made to maintain the grapple.
Yeah.
And if that roll fails, then it releases. So if you spend movement, it releases automatically. And if you fail another grapple roll, which is still modified by TSM and by the weight class. So if you fail that, then they're released.
So running hot's definitely the way to go with that triple strength Myomer stuff. That'll keep you in the game longer.
Yeah, and that'll make this a lot easier to do as well. With the -2, that's a lot easier to do.
Oh, so many opportunities for that. It's really cool.
It's very cool. And it's not, I mean, it wouldn't be canon to have it out in the world and stuff, but I mean, for a Merc unit, taking like an ex-Solaris mech or something that's been modified with a whip and running it into sort of like high density urban areas to take out things like light mechs and stuff that you want to salvage. You get that leg hit, you whip them off the ground, and then you whack them in the head, and you drag them off. That's the way.
And you make money.
And you make the money. Well, more importantly, you make the repairs for the things. Yeah.
Should we do a little scenario thing here?
Yeah, let's see if we can we'll pretend our hatchet man has a whip instead
of a hatchet. Yep. So he's black like Zorro. So he's dressed the part, which is handy.
Wait, is he outclassed by that guy? He probably is.
Well, you've got 45 to 55, so you got a 10-ton difference between them.
But no weight class difference.
Not.
They're both heavy on. Both medium.
Medium. They're both medium, so that's okay. So that balances out good.
Yeah. Okay, so you're making your standard attack roll, which is your piloting skill and your movement modifiers and all the other stuff as well.
So we'll just assume that they've been going at it, but having much success. So they haven't bothered moving. It's now gone into the physical attack phase.
Yep.
So the Wolverine, he's had his attacks, but he's missed. So now the Hatchetman is going to try and use the whip, the lash, chain whip thing. Chain whip, sorry.
So it's a standard attack roll, physical attack roll.
All right, so his piloting is 5, we'll keep it standard.
Yep.
And they didn't do any moving, so base of 5. You get a -2 bonus. for the weapon?
Yeah, I think that may have been for those 2 bonus attacks. It's on the sheet there. It says it's a -2, but it says to check the rules. And it doesn't actually mention a -2 up here. It only mentions the -2 if you have TSM and the enemy doesn't.
Oh, that's correct.
Okay, so it's a standard attack. Okay. Sorry about that.
So 5, nobody's moved, so 5. Let's see what happens. There we go. So we rolled a 9 to hit. Right. So he's hit. So we need to see where he's hit first. So on the front. So 11. That's a left arm, I believe.
Is that an arm?
Yep.
I think it is.
Left arm.
Okay. So left arm means you get to make... Yes, left arm. Left arm means you get to make another attack. Now, if you had triple strength my armor, which you don't, and it was active, which it isn't, and the enemy doesn't, which it doesn't, then you'd get a -2. If you were different weight classes, then you would get either plus or minus, depending on whether you're higher or lower than the enemy.
Yep.
You don't, so it doesn't matter. So it's just another straight attack. So you just get the straight attack.
Okay. A 7, which is a success.
Yep. So, what did we say it was? Left arm?
Yep.
So
if we have a look at the record sheet here.
His left arm contains probably nothing.
His left arm has nothing. You're right. The right arm is the one he wanted, but c'est la vie. But that doesn't matter.
But that's not the point.
That's not the point.
He got
his arm.
That guy can't move now. He can't expend movement points to leave that hex, which means if you are in a gang-up situation, he is vulnerable. Okay?
Yeah, true.
You're vulnerable too, which sucks, but that's not the point. You can move if you want to, but that grapple will dissipate if you spend movement points.
Yeah.
And then each turn after this, you're able to make weapon attack rolls against each other with a -2 and physical attack rolls against each other with a -2, but he can't use his left arm and you can't use your right arm because that's the arm that chains him.
Yeah. Which I think probably had the hatchet in it. I don't know. Will depend.
That's the one that the right arm has the hatchet in, so it's just swapped over. So his right arm, that laser you wouldn't be able to use. Obviously the chain whip you can't use because that's grappling the dude. So that arm is out of it. But that is a vulnerable situation for the enemy, and if you are in a group situation, that guy is in trouble, in big trouble.
If the whip was placed in the other arm, say we modified the hatchetman, so he's now got a -2 to hit, and he gets a -1 bonus anyway with a hatchet.
Yep.
So you could, in theory, because you've got these bonuses, you could then choose to take the +4 penalty to attack the top half.
Yeah. Because that'll work out at an overall, +1.
Yeah.
And that has a physical attack, that's nothing. +1's nothing.
No.
And neither of you are moving, so there's no modifiers for movement.
Yeah.
So it's just a straight +1. You're rolling a 6 or better and you are hatcheting the hell out of him. So you modify your hatchet man to have a whip in one hand and his hatchet in the other hand, and you've got a pretty deadly combination, especially with a decent pilot.
And that's how you stop a locust from running around. You get a heavier mech, you just what? And he's stuck there. And you can start wailing on him.
Oh dear. I just had that vision in my head.
It's so good.
That's
cool. But it's good. Like if you have a heavier mech going against lighters, because the light mechs, they rely on this speed, those modifiers. You take that away.
Yeah, and as we've mentioned before with, I think in the punching video, that arm arc twists when you torso twist. So it rotates around when you torso twist. So if you've got the whip and you are getting swarmed by smaller mechs, they tend to go for the rear arc. So you can twist around and you can whip and you can catch them and stop them and keep them there. And that is good. That is bonus.
So one probably little rule we'd have to, assuming it's here, if he managed to do him, what is it here? Well, that's still the arm.
Yeah.
So, whoops, sorry.
Like I said,
so if he was here, and he managed to get him, so if you wanted to torso twist this way, it would then take him out. You'd have to be here to still be in the arc. So you wouldn't. You wouldn't be able to do, well, you could torso twist, but then you'd have to release it.
I would say that would be a release.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing would happen if you had a light mech in the rear arc. If you turned and whipped, then you'd only be able to use that torso like weaponry.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be a bit careful about it, but it's good options, especially like I say, if you've got more than 2 mechs.
Yeah.
If you've got a few friendly mechs around the place, holding a light mech still for even 1 round is huge.
Yeah.
If you can get a locust, like my locust was chewing up your battle master at one point.
Yeah, that's right.
If that had stopped moving, it'd be dead.
Yeah.
You would have vaporized it.
Yeah.
So it's a thing.
If you've got battle armor nearby or like anti-mech trained just infantry, like in a city environment, the urban environment, that's nasty.
Yeah,
that's real nasty.
They can crawl up there and rip him apart while you're holding him.
Yeah,
it's a really cool weapon. It isn't necessarily as awesome as some of them, but it is a really interesting weapon, and that's part of the thing is get in and just
try something.
Yeah, just make it up.
Yeah,
just make it up as you go along. Go through the construction rules and make one with a whip and a hatchet, or a whip and an autocannon in the other arm.
Something, yeah.
Just replace this arm with an Act 20 and this arm with a whip and see how you go.
Yum. That's cool. So there we go. So that's the chain whip, an interesting weapon. I kind of like it. So
we'll go through some more, but yeah, I like that one. That's very cool.
Okay, thanks for watching. See you later.